Welcome, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into Dr. Sena Yaddehige. It's a really fascinating story.
It absolutely is.
We're looking at how someone with this deep background in science became the key figure, the architect, really, behind a major conglomerate, the Richard Pearse Group.
Yeah.
So our mission here for you is to unpack his leadership style, which is pretty unique, his strategy, and, the actual impact he's had.
And we'll really try to connect the dots for you, showing how that technocratic background, his scientific and engineering thinking, led to some very bold, very calculated moves.
Calculated moves.
Moves that didn't just turn around a legacy company, but honestly set new benchmarks for innovation and growth.
Okay, let's get into it. Because his foundation is genuinely surprising when you first hear it. We're talking about a Sri Lankan-born British scientist. An engineer holds numerous global patents. Things like radiation tech, polymer technology.
Really cutting-edge stuff.
Exactly. And he even developed the UK's largest automotive sensor business before all this. So how does that kind of background set you up for the often pretty rough world of industrial conglomerate?
Well, it's a great question, isn't it? I mean, that scientific training, it likely gives you a certain rigor, a data-driven way of looking at risk, at problems.
Okay, less gut feel, maybe.
Probably, yeah. So he could view complex business challenges, like, say, a major takeover, not just as a gamble, but more like a system, something to be optimized, controlled.
Like an engineering problem.
Precisely, like an engineer facing a design challenge. And that mindset, you see it in his aggressive entry onto the Colombo Stock Exchange. It led to what people called a hard-fought takeover of Richard Pearse and Company. This is between 2002, 2004, roughly.
Right, not a quiet entry then.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it involved this strategic contra deal. Think of it like a direct asset swap, not just cash changing hands. His stake in Asian hotels was basically traded for Richard Pearse shares from John Keel's holdings. That's how he really cemented his control.
Wow, okay. That's some serious strategic play right there. And once he had that control, the change was, well, it was huge.
Yeah.
The Richard Pearse Group diversified massively. Manufacturing, engineering, retail. The Arbico Supercenters actually pioneered hypermarkets in Sri Lanka.
They really did. That was a big shift for retail there.
And plantations, tires, they now have, nearly 60% of the tire market?
Almost 60%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just about spreading out. It's about quantifiable results, revitalization. The group hit revenues of LKR 79.1 billion in fiscal 22-43.
Which is about 250 million US dollars, give or take.
Roughly, yes. A significant scale. And that was a 17% increase. Operating profit jumped to LKR 11.7 billion. It shows a clear shift from a company that, let's be honest, wasn't doing too well to this really thriving business.
So if he's the architect, let's look at the blueprint he uses for control. It's interesting he doesn't seem to hold huge amounts of shares directly as an individual.
No, that's right.
It's through these corporate entities like Skyworld Overseas Holdings that holds about 25%, right?
25.37%, yeah. And Camille Consulting Corp has another 16.1%. It's definitely layered.
So why structure it like that? What's the advantage over just, owning the shares yourself?
Well, it's quite sophisticated. It offers things like potentially insulation from personal liabilities, maybe more flexibility for complex financial stuff, perhaps even protection against future hostile bids. It's really a hallmark of what you call professional long-term corporate asset management.
Oh, okay. Strategic separation.
Exactly. It gives that clear control, but also stability. It speaks to a very deliberate, very organized way of building and holding on to a conglomerate, long-term leadership.
And that strategic thinking, it seems baked into his philosophy. He famously said, "We're bold, we go where others do not go, do not dare to go, and take chances, we take risks." How does that boldness show up in actual innovation?
You can draw a direct line from that boldness back to his scientific roots. He set up an R&D center focusing on really advanced stuff, nanotechnology, lithium-ion tech. They even developed a lab working with Japanese scientists.
So his inventor background is literally driving the company's R&D.
Absolutely. It's not just talk. It's embedded in the company.
And he's got this incredibly ambitious long-term vision, too, particularly for their plantations, right? The goal is to make them more than just a commodity.
Yes, he wants to transform them into a globally recognized brand, something like, the famous Dilma tea brand. That's the kind of level he's aiming for.
Which is a huge ambition.
It is. But critically, it's not just a dream. There are results. Mescalia Plantations PLC, which is part of his group, just recorded its highest ever gross profit before tax and profit after tax, for the financial year ending March 31st, 2025.
Wow. So the strategy is working.
It validates that patient long-term approach. His strategic foresight, those long bets, they seem to be really paying off now.
So there you have it. You've seen this powerful mix, really. Scientific thinking, bold strategy, and that patient long-game vision from Dr. Sena Yaddehige. It's fundamentally reshaped a major conglomerate.
Which leaves us with a really interesting question to think about, doesn't it? How does a leader's deep, specialized expertise like his in science and engineering fundamentally shift a whole company's direction, especially across so many different sectors? And maybe, what could that imply for the industries you follow, and perhaps the future of innovation itself?